All right. Well, hey, I'm pre-recording this because guess what? I am traveling right now. And so I will tell you more about my travels later on because I have actually two trips, one right after the other. And that brings up something that happened on one of the trips. And from that, the key point that I want you to remember is please do not let all the technology and AI, all the different, and I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, right? What I want to say, the message that I want to share with you today is please do not let all of those new things rob you of your creativity. And what makes me think about that is actually on a previous trip that I took, there I was sitting in the window seat. There was a little girl in the middle seat, and then her mom was on the aisle seat. And what did I pull out of my backpack? Because that's something that I like to do. I pulled out a coloring book, one of those adult coloring books, the ones that have the different shapes that you get to color and that kind of thing. And so I pulled out my coloring book and pencils to color. I like to color with pencils. I like to use markers as well or watercolors, but I do personally have a preference for using coloring pencils. So with that said, here I am sitting in the window seat, pulling out the coloring book, pulling out the pencils, and I start to color while the little girl next to me was also doing some coloring. However, here's a big however, the way that she was coloring was on her phone, one of those coloring apps. And I'm not saying that those coloring apps do not have a time and place. What I want to share is that apps and tools have a time and place, but don't let them rob you of your own creativity, of your own way of doing things. Because the coloring app that she had, which I ended up downloading to check out and see how it works, and I've used it here and there, but it does not allow you the creativity that you can have with pen and paper or pencil and paper or crayons and paper or watercolor and papers or acrylic paint and paper, all the different realms, all the different ways of being creative, right? And so I downloaded that app that she was using to color, and it's one of those apps where it has the image for you. And for example, one represents this color, so you click all the ones and it fills in the color, and then you go to number 2 and fill in all the number 2s and fill in all the number 3s. So that is something that can help you to learn numbers, to recognize patterns. It does have a place for actually learning, right? So it does serve a purpose. However, when it comes to creativity, it takes away from your own creativity. So that is the message that I want to share with you today is pens, pencils. Let's see, do I have a pencil here? No, I don't have a pencil. I have all sorts of pens. I have pens that are different colors. This one, for example, is a pink ink. This one is a black ink, and this one is a black ink. Yeah, you get the point. So pens can have different colors themselves, not just pencils, right? But what I want you to take away from today is find ways to let your creativity flow, because in your business, that is going to be so important for you to have that flow of creativity and not depend on always using technology. So yes, I will use AI. I will use the chat GPTs, and I will use what's the newer one that's out. It's Gemini, I think. So I've used Gemini a couple times. What are some other ones out there? Well, there's some other ones out there, right? So I want to invite you to find a way to let your creativity flow. And that is going to help you so much in your business, even if that creative avenue may not seem to have anything related to business. It affects different areas of your brain when you are able to be creative. And so for me, there are different ways of being creative, right? So for example, I don't know if you can see right there on the corner of my dry erase board, I have a photo. Well, not a photo. I have a drawing that I did. And that was actually a guided activity where we had certain steps to follow. And once we followed those basic steps, then we got to just take off and do the rest the way that we wanted. And so every single person that participated in the activity ended up with something that looks completely different. And it is something that helps your brain to function and fire in different ways than when you simply rely on ChatGPT or other AIs, or Bing is another one for creating images. So there are so many different ways that you can use technology. But your brain is a tool that the more you use it, the more it functions. It is a muscle. If you do not use it, it atrophies. So please, that is my plea. That is my message for you this week as I'm traveling, because I'm recording while I'm in Arkansas. But guess what? This is going live while I'm in a completely different state, and I get to be creative and explore and do different things while I'm there. Maybe I'll share a little bit about that with you after I get back. Who knows? But then I have another trip after that, right? So we'll see what I share with you. The key point: let your creativity flow. Find a way to let that flow, whether it's drawing, whether it is writing, whether it's doing things out in nature, but find a creative way for your brain to exercise in a creative fashion. So that is my challenge to you, and I would love to hear from you. What are ways that you are creative? And I know I have some friends that do cards, for example, in a creative fashion. I am a big believer in sending greeting cards and sending personal notes as cards that go in the mail. If you don't know that that is actually a main thing that I do, I will put the link for it in the comments. Go check it out. Send a free one. With that said, there is a creative way that we can actually use that service as well to share our gratitude with others. And then I do have some friends that use, what is the name of that? It's not called creative memory. I know that creative memory was another wonderful way to do scrapbooking, right? So what are the ways that you like to be creative? And is it something that you do in your business? Or is it something that you do to relax and to let different energy flows through you? I would love to hear more about that in the comments. Or if we're already connected personally, send me a private message, right? Let me know which ways that you like to be creative. And if you have pictures of that, I would love to see pictures. So for example, the other day, I have a friend that told me, and I learned from her, that she loves to do watercolors. So I was like, I want to see that. So if you do watercolors, I want to see your watercolors. If you do jewelry, I want to see your jewelry. If you do pottery, if you do ceramics, I want to see that. If you do woodwork, I want to see that. Those are all sorts of different creative ways. Some people use Canva to be creative, right? And create new things. So I would love to see how you let your creativity flow, whether you do that for personal uses because that is something that you love and that you enjoy, or that you love to have that creativity flow, and that is something that you end up using in your business. I want to hear more about that. So I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. Go ahead and follow and like and comment. This is episode number 51 of Releasing the Badass in You. And creativity, it is so important. It is so key, even in today's world of technology.